On today's show, we are talking about the top 5 comic books of 2013. Alright then, before we get into it, there are a couple of rules. Same rules apply as last year. We're talking about stories here, we're talking about whole stories. Although I did watch last year's back, and I do think it's a bit shitty that you couldn't have Legends of the Dark Knight in your thing. So I think, I just feel like, if it's a collection of one-shots that came out in trade, then that should be fair.
I feel as though you're saying that because maybe there's a collection of one-shots that came out in trade.
There actually isn't. But no, anyway, so the story has to have ended in 2013 for it to be allowed. Could have started in 2012. Has to have ended in 2013.
So, for example, Death of the Family could be in your list this year.
Could be there.
But 0 year.
No.
So there you go.
Good.
Who wants to go first?
I don't mind going first.
Sure,
I don't mind going first.
Go for it.
So my number 5, quite conveniently, is Battle of the Atom. Now, with Battle of the Atom, I am grouping all new X-Men.
This is why it's convenient for him.
All new X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Wolverine the X-Men, and X-Men. If I didn't do this, my list would most likely be populated by X-Men comics.
Wolverine the X-Men, all new X-Men, X-Men.
Listen, it's been a great year for the X-Men, as it was last year. They seem to be going from strength to strength, and actually Battle of the Atom was a fantastic story. It didn't end too well, but during it, I was losing my shit left, right, and centre. It was a fantastic story, great collaboration between all of these comics. Some of the most well-rounded characters in comic books. Adored it. Number 5.
Fantastic. My number 5 is my first of the Marvel Now. And that is Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 1.
That high?
It was awesome.
It was good.
I absolutely loved this book. It was an introduction to a whole bunch of characters I had no idea about, except for Iron Man. And it's absolutely brilliant. Right, I'm going to say this off the bat. I wrote my list, and then I forgot to write down the story titles.
That's fine.
So it may just be volume number. In fact, it will be volume numbers. It was absolutely fantastic. Great cosmic adventure. Better than Nova. Nova kind of slipped after the first couple of issues.
True. But
I loved Guardians of the Galaxy.
My number 4. I'm so happy that... That's not a clue. My number 4, this is a clue. I'm so happy that this is on my list. Superior Spider-Man is one of the best comic books being written today, and one of the most exciting.
Snap!
Yeah?
Volume 2.
Volume 3.
It doesn't matter.
I haven't
read Volume 3 yet.
Volume 3.
Yeah.
Ups the fucking ante. Like, oh my god. You know what they've done with this character? Is they've solved the age-old problem of superheroes, which is that they're inherently reactive. The villain does something and they react, which generally makes for quite uninteresting characters. What they've created,
75 years of history would prove you wrong.
Well, that's why a lot of people don't like Superman, because he never does anything. It's always he does something and that puts Superman in action. Yeah, that's why you have all the supporting cast. Whereas what they've done with Doc Ock as Spider-Man is just gone, he's gonna shut some shit down.
It's gonna solve the problem.
I don't want to spoil the beginning of Volume 3, but he does something and accomplishes something that I've never seen in any superhero comic, and it is just exciting. And there's one where he's battling this villain in later issues of that volume, and he is just shutting him down left, right, and centre. And actually, that Volume 3 is just one of the best reads of any comic this year. Just so good, and I'm so happy that there's a Spider-Man book on my list.
Yeah, I will agree with just everything you said. It's great. Just apply it to Volume 2. Because I haven't read Volume 3 yet. No, it's fantastic, and I love how much we hated the first issue.
I know,
and how much we've gone to love this book.
Just don't ever watch that episode.
So there you go. Read stuff in trades, because
that's why we talk about stories. That's why we talk about arcs, because you never know. You never know.
Cool. Number 3 then.
Oh, it's me again.
Yeah, straight onto it.
Me again. My number 3. Now. My number 1 fell right into place. My number 2 and 3, was a struggle.
Same.
And I have a feeling actually that number 2 and 3 they're gonna have some stuff in common. But my number 3, is... You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Okay. My number 3. Saga. Saga was so good. And in preparation for this video, I was going back and watching our reviews of these things, and I'm watching how excited we get about Saga, and just remembering how, because again, it's something I read a while ago. They, it takes, we're talking about volume 2. It takes a long time for these things to actually get out, because I don't know why.
We've only had one volume this year.
Yeah.
And one volume last year.
Yeah, we're getting the 3rd in like February or something. But what an amazing, innovative story, and just new. Just a new, this idea just born from Brian K. Vaughan's mind, brought to life just superbly by Fiona Staples. It would be easy for these sorts of fanciful concepts to overshadow the character. The fact that they don't is why Saga is here on my list, and Prophet would be much further down. Because I think it's a very similar book, some very creative ideas, but just doesn't have the character that Saga has.
Okay, cool. I agree with you there. My number 3 is a book that I think you read and didn't like, actually. I think you might have read it. I did ask you to read it. And that is Fury Max, My War Gone By.
I read first couple of issues, wasn't like overtaken on it. Yeah.
This is the kind of Marvel Max version of Nick Fury. It's going back to classic White Fury. White Fury. That sounds like the name of a really great racist film. And it follows his adventures all the way from the kind of start of Vietnam all the way up to post 9/11 and his life during that, and all the characters that influence his life. I found this to be, because it's only 13 issues, starting in 2012 and 2013, and I'm lumping both volumes in this because you have to, it's one big story. Yeah. And this was just one of the best adventures of someone's life that I read this year. You get a whole complete picture of this man, and a really satisfying ending. The artwork I really enjoyed. It was quite cartoony almost, and I really think that helped separate you from this very dark story, because Vietnam was a very dark time. Did things and stuff, and I wouldn't recommend it. Dark time, as are all the events that follow. So yeah, Fury, My War Gone By.
My number two is another book that we reviewed on the show and both loved. And again, I watched our review again and we gushed over it, and it is so justified. Bedlam. Oh god, Bedlam was good. And the reason I think I picked Bedlam over Saga in the end is because when I got to the end, when you get to the end of Saga, it's like you just don't know what's happening next, and you sense that it's this, it's the story, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm out of control. Whereas in Bedlam, when that finished, there are so many things that I wanted to happen. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if that happened and this happened? Oh, and they could do this and they could do this, and if they did that, oh, I wonder if they do that. I wonder if it's going to turn into this or if it's going to do that. And like, they left the door so wide open to go anywhere they want and do anything they wanted. I think Riley Rossmo has left the book now, which is a shame. But did you hear what happened with Ben Templesmith?
No.
As a whole, as a sort of brief aside, he basically just stopped answering emails and just stopped drawing the book and didn't get...
drawing which book?
10 grand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they were like, well, we've got to sort of move on then. Like, he's not even... Pretty bad, though, isn't it? Anyway, Riley Rossmo was like... But his art was just brilliant. One of the most unique looking books of the year. And just dynamic and exciting, and again a great mystery, a great sort of page-turning mystery. Just wonderful.
My number 2, I'm sure you'll be very happy with, all new X-Men. I've gone for volume 3. The thing is, it was such a fantastic year for the X-Men. I didn't want it all to be lumped into one, and this was the first year I really got into them. So I kind of want to just lump Uncanny and All New and all of that into it.
It's like the same massive story,
but
it's difficult.
I haven't read Battle of the Atom yet, so I can't do that. Yeah. So I decided to choose All New X-Men, specifically Volume 3, which is the one with Mystique and Sabretooth and all that jazz.
You're reading it in trade, right?
I'm reading it in trade.
So you haven't read the last issue of Uncanny, which might be my favourite single issue of the year.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah, no, I absolutely love this book. The artwork is fantastic on both books. The writing by Bendis is amazing. The character development that they've gone through with all of these characters.
And the new designs. Like, they've redesigned every character from the ground up.
Have new designs yet? I'm not up to that.
Yeah, you have.
All the costume changes.
Oh, you mean them new designs? Now,
designs.
they're awesome. But even talking about Cyclops and Magneto and
Oh, right.
everyone,
Oh, yeah, they're cool. That's uncanny, though, isn't it? Not all new. But on the uncanny side, on the all-new side, I think they've done such a fantastic job taking what was a gimmick that I went...
Yeah, same. I'm making it work.
Where? That sounds time travel, that's stupid. And I've gone, actually, you know what? This is comic books. This works.
Right.
And yeah, it's fantastic. So number 2 for me is All New X-Men. So, Mr. Morgan, it's crunch time.
It is crunch time. But can I just say, I know you've only got one space left, and I don't know what's filling it, but I know it's not going to be both Saga and Bedlam, and I'm surprised that 1 or 2 of them aren't on your list. But anyway,
That's true, and I will justify my picking for number 1.
My number 1, everyone knows. You're all screaming at the screen. You know exactly what my number 1 is. My number 1 is Young Avengers.
Yeah. How could I possibly forget?
Oh, seriously.
I did actually forget for a little
Did you forget?
For a minute. I was just like...
There's no other... It's quite simple. There's no other comic book that I enjoy reading more. There just isn't. And add on to the fact that it's this great... I mean, these characters I love. I didn't think the original... Heinberg, his original Young Avengers run could be beaten, and I think this actually surpasses it. I love these characters, their interactions, and the way they talk to each other, and the things that they talk about. I'm in. Like, what I always say, that in any medium, what I love is downtime, and this book has so much downtime, and I love the fact that they return to the cafe, and they're talking, and there's banter, and it's genuinely funny, and I love these characters. Add onto that some of the most creative and innovative comic book panels I've seen all year, maybe ever. Like, in every issue, there was something unique, interesting, and different that I've never seen done before in comics, and for that reason, my number 1 book of the year, Young Avengers.
So, you know what I've noticed so far on our list?
No DC books.
No DC books.
Come on.
I had perfect delivery then. No DC books.
That's true.
DC's has...
There would be some DC on my list if you were to look further back. Sort of 10 to 6.
Are we talking Batman or...?
There'd be 2 Batmans in there, I think. Yeah. I think Death of the Family would be in there. I think Batman Incorporated would be in there as well.
Really?
Yeah.
So, my number 1 book... surely it's got to be Justice League. No, I'm joking. My number 1 book is Bedlam.
Round of applause.
It's got to be.
Applause.
There was a lot of choices for my number 1. Books like Daredevil, Hawkeye, Saga, all books that were in my list last year, all books that I continue to enjoy this year. But the reason why I didn't put any of them on my list is I wanted to kind of bring note to some other books, I don't think it was Daredevil's finest year. I don't think it was Hawkeye's finest year.
Daredevil and Hawkeye would be my sort of 6 and 7.
Yeah. My number 6 actually is Talon, the DC book.
Okay.
That was the biggest surprise of the year, because I thought that was going to be rubbish, but it was amazing. Bedlam. Bedlam is my number 1 book of the year. I rewatched our review, saw how... We've never been that enthusiastic about one book. And then I reread it. So I've read it like 3 times now. And it's still... fantastic. The dialogue is great. The imagery is amazing. This character of Madder Red looks great. That's such cool bad guy imagery, and it's the Joker story we've never gotten. It's the best Joker story never told. And I'm sure in the next volume it's going to go beyond that kind of labeling.
People seem to see that as a criticism, that he's like the Joker, so that's a criticism because they're ripping him off. But
for me, it's not.
No, same.
It's that's a compliment. It's the greatest Joker story never told. But I'm sure the next volume is gonna kind of get rid of that, and it comes out in January, which I'm so excited for.
Oh my god! I can't wait.
I'm hoping it's just as good.
I've got no idea where it's going, and I have so many places that I want it to go, and it's gonna be such an amazing experience reading it.
Yeah. But cool. So that is our top 5 comic books of the year. Love to know what you guys thought of them, and what are your top 5 comics?
Have we missed anything? Unlikely. we pretty much read everything last year.
More or less, except for DC.
We read, well, I mean, even a lot of DC we gave a chance. Like
That's true.
That last year, because of the show, we read more comic books than we've ever read in our lives. Like,
I
just absolutely insane that we there's no comic book that would be on someone else's list that we haven't read, probably. Yeah. And there were lots of comic books that I wanted to put on my list, but 5 is not, it's not.
There are a lot of comics books that I wanted to put on my list, but as it turns out, Peanut.
Remember I reviewed Peanut on What We've Been Reading? Awesome book.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So good.
I mean, it didn't come out in 2012, but Day Tripper would have been on my list. They had it of.
Didn't.
2012. It did come out in 2012. Didn't come out in 2013. What year is it? Oh dear. So yeah, tell us what you thought of our list. Tell us what your lists are down in the comments below.
Indeed, we will see you on Friday for our final episode. We're going to say some things, and then we've got a year's worth of wonderful outtakes for you.
True that.
We will see you then.
I was just like...